This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I have around 19 years of experience. So I started my career as Oracle DBA the month of June 2003. Okay, so later I shifted to DevOps platform. So for the past 7 years, I have been on DevOps, AWS, Azure, and Azure DevOps. So this is my brief introduction. Okay, and this course is targeted for AWS admin. And in the first 1 week, we are going to start only Linux essentials. First 1 week completely Linux essentials. So once we finish Linux essentials from second week onwards, okay, this is from second week onwards, we start actual AWS because the Linux essentials are very much mandatory, okay, for AWS. Second week onwards, we start AWS. And this course duration is 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, our days are Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday. Generally, I will take all cloud sessions 45 minutes and DevOps sessions 1 hour. Okay, so my timings are USA students flexible timings. Okay, most of my students are there in USA. Okay, so few students are in other countries like New Zealand, Canada, and Australia, but most of my students are there in USA. And our session starts at 6 a.m. Is it okay for you, everyone? 6 a.m. IST. Okay, so if you are in central region, your timings will be 6:30 p.m. CST.
Okay.
And if you are in the eastern zone, okay, yours will be 7:30 p.m. EST. I hope you are in CST and EST regions, right?
I'm on CST here.
CST. And others?
I'm on PST.
I'm on EST.
EST. EST.
Yes, EST.
EST, right?
So that was supposed to be 4:30, right?
Yeah, all students are from USA only. Okay, no other students are there. Okay. No students from other countries, only USA students. And we have a WhatsApp communication. Okay, WhatsApp group also. So for faster communication, if you face any issues while doing your lab sessions, okay, so I will be responding sometimes. Okay, this is my strategy. So will it work for you, everyone? 6 a.m. IST, 7:30 p.m. CST, 6:30 p.m. CST, 7:30 p.m. EST.
Works for me.
Yes. Others?
Yes.
Okay. And Mustafa and Vinod Kumar.
Yeah, it works for me as well.
Okay. So some other students will come after 10 minutes because for them the timing is 6 a.m. Okay. Now it is just quarter to 5:45. Within 15 minutes they will also join with you. Okay. And
okay.
Basically, yeah. So basically, when we speak about any cloud platform, okay, so it can be Azure cloud, it can be AWS cloud, it can be Google cloud, whatever it may be. Majorly, we have two types of roles. Okay, so we have two types of roles. Okay, one is an architect role, and other one is admin role. Actually, here, what is the difference between these two? Okay, so there is a little bit of confusion, right? Okay, what is architect and what is admin? there is a lot of difference between these two roles. Okay, suppose I have one application running in my office environment. Let us say the office environment's application name is e-commerce application. So to run e-commerce application, generally I need to have many servers like user interface, middleware, okay, load balancers, networking, virtualization, hardware, software, many components are required. Okay, I don't want to tolerate this cost. I want to move this e-commerce application to cloud platform, to cloud. Okay, one of the cloud. Okay, so it need not be AWS, it can be any cloud. So immediately I will approach architect. Architect is going to give me idea. Okay, like how many servers are required. Okay, what should be your networking model. Okay, what is the licensing cost, how much monthly cost you have to pay. Okay, so that kind of complete design idea is given by architect. So he's just like a designer, he is just like a designer. Okay, now he is not going to implement anything, he is not going to implement anything. Okay, because he is just only architect. Okay, so whatever design is given by architect, same is implemented by admin, same is implemented by admin. Okay, admin is the person who is going to implement the plan given by architects. Now how he is going to implement the plan? To implement the plan given by designer or architect, okay, the admin guys will be using AWS cloud platform in 3 ways. Okay, we have 3 ways of using AWS cloud. Okay, what are the ways? 3 ways of using AWS cloud. So what are the 3 ways? The first way of using AWS cloud is console. Okay, here a rich UI is given to you. Okay, so using the UI you are going to create all the services. So console means website. So we are going to log in into AWS account just by using console.aws.amazon.com. So we are going to log in into our AWS account. So we are going to create services by using a interface. A interface is given to you. Okay, using that interface, okay, so we can create all the services of AWS. Now interface point of view, it is very rich, but the thing is, okay, the thing is it is purely manual. So suppose I want to do some activities frequently, okay, so what are the activities I want to do frequently? Let us assume morning at 5 AM IST I want to start a virtual machine, start a VM. 5 PM IST, okay, I want to stop a virtual machine, so this is my daily job, daily activity. Okay, I want to do this activity, okay, twice in a day. Okay, so if I don't know any other channels like any other ways except console, every day I have to log in into AWS console 5 AM IST. I have to manually create a virtual machine, and once again I have to go to 5 PM. Okay, I have to create I have to click on stop button manually. Okay, this is my routine activity. This cannot be automated. So to automate this activity, okay, so we use some other way of using AWS cloud, that is nothing but commands. That means AWS can also be operated through commands. Okay, this is nothing but AWS CLI. CLI stands for command line interface. So here we are going to write simple commands like AWS, okay, run instance. This is to create a new instance, new virtual machine. This is a simple command, and this command can be automated. And AWS, okay, terminate instance. Okay, these are the simple commands which I can, okay, use for automation purpose. Automation means I can execute these commands from from automated tools like Jenkins and some other tools. I can execute these commands. Okay, I can schedule them. Okay, this is about AWS CLI. And there is another way of using AWS also. Okay, that is very powerful. That is nothing but cloud formation. Cloud formation. Here, this way of creating AWS resources, AWS services, okay, is also called as IAC. IAC stands for infrastructure as code. That means here we write some code. Okay, code means it is not a complex coding, it is a simple coding like HTML. Okay, so the code we are going to write in the form of JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. JavaScript object notation. Okay, it is very simple scripting, just like HTML. Okay, for automation of resources, we use cloud formation. So let us assume one more small example. As a DevOps engineer or cloud engineer, our responsibility is to provide infrastructure to other team members. Like we have requirements from dev team, prod team, okay, UAT. Okay, many requirements will be coming. We are going to work for various teams. We are going to work on assignments, not on projects. Okay, and as a part of their requirement, just imagine they asked us to provide 50 servers. So 50 servers means here in our case 50 virtual machines. These are not physical machines. 50 servers, okay, along with some software configuration. Okay, so what are the softwares to be installed? Tomcat, MySQL, like that. We can assume any softwares. Software is not important here. Okay, the way of doing is important. Okay, so once you know the procedure, so we can do these activities from many channels. Now this is my requirement for creation of 50 servers for my dev environment. This is a requirement came from dev environment. Okay, now if you don't know cloud formation, if I know only console, okay, and manually have to create 50 servers, I have to log in into each and every server. I have to configure Tomcat, MySQL kind of softwares, but that is very time-taking process, right? It is not a sensible approach. It is not a good approach. It is purely manual approach. But if I know cloud formation, simply I can write script, okay, within half an hour, within 15 minutes. That depends on our caliber. That depends on our intelligence. Okay, so once the script is written, just by executing the script, okay, so you can create as many as servers you want. That means the main intention of this cloud formation is once the script is written, you can use the same script for multiple servers. That is the main intention of cloud formation. That means in automation, especially in automation kind of activities, we can use cloud formation. So today the requirement came from dev environment. Tomorrow in the morning, same requirement may be coming from other environment. Okay, but they are asking Tomcat, Oracle server configuration. Okay, now just we have to change Oracle in the place of MySQL. So we can give this Oracle configuration information at runtime. Okay, it is script running time. Okay, so that what happens, our task becomes very simple. Very simple. Okay, these are the three ways of using AWS cloud platform. Okay, there is another way also. Okay, but we don't use that. But that is a completely different course. That is AWS developer. That means from programming language like Java, .NET, okay, Python. Also we can use AWS. But for that we must be a developers. Okay, but in our course we are going to cover these three activities. Okay, 3 channels. These are the 3 ways of using AWS. And here every session is recorded. Okay, once the session is over, I will post the recording in Google Drive. That will be shared to you.
Can I ask a question
Let
real
me
quick?
save that. Yes.
What is the most like method that is used out of these 4, and what are the benefits?
So when coming to benefits, I have told, right? Okay, so just a minute. I will come to your point. This is purely manual. Okay, so if you know anything about the AWS scripting, simply you can use console. But the thing is, if you don't know any other things, manually you have to create. Suppose I want to create 50 servers within the 50 servers I want to do installation. What is my approach? I have to create 50 servers within single shot. I can create, no problem. But when coming to installation part, I have to go into each and every machine. I have to install softwares every time. That is purely manual. That depends on your caliber. So if you know everything, if you know cloud formation also, okay, we don't use console. Okay, we may use either the commands or cloud formation. Is it clear?
Yes, that's very clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
So any other questions from others? Is everything clear?
Yeah, no questions on my end.
Okay. Now, so we are speaking about cloud platform, right? Okay, we are speaking about AWS cloud platform. Okay, so we have many resources like virtual machines are there, networking is there. Okay, for us it is everything virtual, like virtual network, virtual machine, okay, virtual storage, virtual load balancer, everything is virtual. But somewhere else that must be located physically, right? Okay, somewhere else that must be located physically, that must be there physically. Okay, okay. Now where exactly all these components are there physically? Okay, for that, okay, we have to discuss something like AWS global infrastructure. AWS global infrastructure. Okay, so in AWS in global infrastructure, majorly we are going to concentrate on regions and availability zones. Availability zones. Okay. So what is a region and what is the availability zone? A region is nothing but it is a geographical area. Geographical area on the globe. Then what is availability zone? Availability zone, we can also call it as data center. Data center. Okay. So it is a physical independent location. Okay. And every data center is a part of region. Okay. So every region may have 2 or more availability zones. Okay, so for that let me open a document. Okay, it will be very helpful to us. So for that let me go into AWS global infrastructure. AWS global infrastructure. Okay, let me open the first link itself. Now, if you come a little bit down, okay, here we will see a map. Okay, just a minute, it will come. My network is slow today. You are seeing something like a global infra map, right? Global infrastructure map. Okay, these are the regions. Okay, so we have some circles like blue color circles, orange color circles. Okay, some giant circles. Okay, so each blue color circle is a region. Okay, each blue color rectangle, sorry, circle is a region. Okay, so it is something like Europe region. Okay, it is launched in 2018. Okay, so it has 3 availability zones. It has 3 availability zones. Okay, and when coming to these orange color circles, okay, it is not launched so far. It is coming soon. It is not launched so far. It is coming soon. Okay, so if you look at this giant circles, okay, these are the regions which you and me cannot use. These are dedicated for USA government. Okay, and here if you point this, these are the 2 regions. Okay, these are available in India. Okay, so one is already launched. Okay, another one is in Hyderabad. Okay, that is going to be launched. Okay, these are the regions. Now every region is having region code. Okay, we will look at the regions. So if you look at this 25 launched regions, 81 availability zones, okay, 14 local zones. So for each and every region we have a region code. Okay, let us watch these region codes. AWS. Okay, before that let me copy paste this. AWS global infrastructure. Okay, this is a link. I will link. Okay, refer here for AWS global map. Okay, now open this and we have AWS regions and availability zones, or availability zones, regions and their region codes. So we have regions like North California, okay, Ohio, Oregon, Singapore. Many regions are there. For each and every region we have a region code. Okay, so we have to use region codes wherever you want to use them. Are you seeing this one? US East 2. Okay, this is Ohio region, North Virginia, North California, Oregon, Cape Town. Okay, so these are the regions. Refer here for AWS region codes. Now, within a region, what is the significance of availability zone? Okay, what is the significance of availability zone or data center? So every data center will have, okay, so very sophisticated infrastructure like servers, okay, and networking, PowerPoints, okay, high-speed networking. Many components are there within, okay, a data center. So then what is the need of availability zone within a region? Okay, so let me explain with a diagram. Now let us assume this is one of the famous region, okay, of AWS. Now imagine this region is having two availability zones. So in each availability zone, I have my replica copies of my application. Okay, my servers are running. Okay, my servers are running in these two availability zones. So each availability zone is an independent location. Okay, so every availability zone is away from other availability zone, okay, with a distance of 1500 to 2000 kilometers. Okay, so if something is gone wrong in the first availability zone, in one of the availability zone, okay, second availability zone will not be impacted. Okay, now let me call it as, this is, imagine this is available AJ1, and this is AJ2, and just we are running, imagine, so we a e-commerce application. So while this application is running in my availability zone, okay, also imagine my end user is using this application. This is my end user browser. Okay, now from end user, now browser, my application is being used. So while my end user is using this application, just imagine, okay, this availability zone is completely collapsed due to power failure or earthquake. So due to unexpected event, okay, this is completely collapsed. Now, since application is running in my availability zone 1, my end user should not suffer. Okay, my end user should not know that this availability zone has gone, or automatically, okay, so this connection must be shifted to second availability zone, because in second availability zone I have one more replica of R1. Okay, just imagine this is my R1 and this is R2. Same application is running in R2 also. Okay, automatically, okay, whatever application, whatever connection is there in R1, okay, so if it is corrupted, what happens here? R2 will not be impacted. Because it is an independent location completely. Both are synchronized. Okay, that means here e-commerce application means, so for the business owners, always application should be up and running like 24/7. Okay, even though it is very expensive, okay, as a business owner, always I want to run my application, my end user should not suffer. Okay, if application goes, what happens here? My end user will be suffered, my business will be collapsed. Okay, with that assumption, my intention is, even though it is very costly, because I have to maintain 2 copies of applications, okay, it is okay for me. Okay, always my application must run 24/7, 365 days. That is my main intention. Okay, so the advantage of this approach is what? Just to maintain high availability, and we can have single point of failure. So these are the single point of failure. So these are the benefits of having availability zones within regions. So within the availability zones we can maintain multiple replicas of the application and data. Okay, just let me save this document so that I can share it to Google Drive. Now, so there is another important concept we have to know, that is types of clouds. Types of clouds. Okay. So when we speak about types of clouds, majorly we have 4 types of clouds. One is public clouds. Public clouds. Okay. Second one is private clouds. Third one is hybrid clouds. Fourth category is multi-tenant cloud. Then what is the difference between each and every cloud category? So all these clouds like AWS, Azure, GCP, okay, all these clouds comes under public clouds, because for other persons, like suppose I want to have servers, okay, so I don't have my own servers, okay, so I will have servers from AWS. For that I have to pay. That means for the sake of other people, they will have regions and availability zones. Within the regions and availability zones, they will have servers. They will provide these servers on the rental basis. Okay, that is just like pay as you go model. Okay, that is just like electricity bill. How much you are using, that much you have to pay. You need not to maintain any servers in your office environment. Everything they will manage. They are for other people purpose. Okay, so all these Azure, AWS, okay, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. So these are called as public clouds. Then what is about private clouds? Generally, if you consider a banking organization, so they will not trust anybody, right? Because they will have some confidential data. Okay, so they will not keep their data in the public cloud. Okay, so they will feel that if they keep database servers within cloud platform, okay, data can be hijacked, data can be modified. So with that assumption, they will have their own clouds. Okay, so those clouds are operated by, okay, themselves. Okay, so within that clouds, they will have their own database servers, their own web servers, app servers. Many things are there in public clouds, private clouds. Okay, so this is about private clouds. Then what is about hybrid clouds? So generally, our hybrid cloud is a combination of on-premise servers and public clouds. So let me take a scenario. I'll take another document. Here, just imagine this is my on-premise environment. Now this is my public cloud. In on-premise, so generally I will launch database servers because I will not trust anybody. Database server will have some confidential data like my customer information, like customer number, transaction details, okay, PIN number, okay, main secret information is there. So that information I don't want to keep in public clouds. With that assumption, I am going to keep all my database servers in my office. This is office environment on premise, and this is one public cloud combination. It can be AWS, it can be Azure, or it can be GCP, whatever it may be. Here I am going to launch web servers or app servers. So as app servers are not that much confidential, I can keep all my database servers in office environment, okay, web servers in public clouds. This is my web server. This is my DB server. Now this DB server can only be accessed by this web server, because from DB server side I can make a setup. Okay, what kind of setup I can make? Okay, let us assume the IP address of this web server is 10.0.0.0, and from DB server side I can open connection only for 10.0.0.0. Okay, this kind of setup is called as a hybrid setup, hybrid cloud. Okay, so your web server is going to run application will be running in web server. So generally application is accessed by end user from their browsers. This circle is my end user browser. So it can be like any e-commerce application like Amazon shopping website, Flipkart. Okay, end user browser. Now here we have another model. This is multi-tenant cloud. Okay, so in the multi-tenant cloud, see what happens. So we are going to use multiple cloud combination. Okay, so in one cloud I can keep database server. Just imagine this circle is database server, and this is my app server. This star is app server, circle is DB server, and we are going to establish communication between these two. Okay, so we can deploy all my web servers in AWS cloud, and here I can in Azure cloud I can keep database server. Okay, like this I can use two cloud combination. Okay, so this is not our choice, this is my company choice according to company requirements. So we have to set up the servers. So this kind of setup is called as multi-tenant cloud. Okay, I feel that for web servers AWS is better, like cost wise, user friendliness. Okay, for every point of view AWS is better for web servers. Azure is for DB servers, database servers, and my end user will be able to use this application from outside. Okay, because web servers will be having applications, right? Applications are not that much important, but database server is most important. Okay, so this kind of model is called as multi-tenant model. Okay, so till this point, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will go to next topic. Any questions? Any doubts? So far, so good.
Yes, I'm good.
Now we have one more important discussion, that is service models of cloud. So generally, when I want to launch a infrastructure, okay, suppose I want to launch a e-commerce application. Okay, every time I will take the example of e-commerce because it is easy to understand. Okay, that is why in our course duration we are going to take e-commerce application every time. We can take any other application also. I am take example. Okay, so suppose I want to launch e-commerce application. Okay, to launch e-commerce application we need to have many components, right? I have to have hardware components. Okay, and I need to have servers, networking, load balancers. Okay, database servers, application, runtime. Many components are required. So in that scenario, so service model is going to describe, okay, whether you can provide complete components. Okay, if you provide complete components, if you manage everything, no need of having any cloud platform. Okay, so service model is going to come into picture when you are not able to provide every component. That means if you provide few components, others will provide rest of the components. Others means cloud parties will provide rest of the components. Okay, so depends on your participation of providing infrastructure. Service models are divided into, okay, three categories. So what are the three categories? One is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Second one is PaaS. This is nothing but platform as a service. Third one is SaaS. This is nothing but software as a service. Now let us open a document so that it will be very clear to you. Let's open this. So if you scroll a little bit down, we will see important a diagram. Where is that? I think it was removed. Okay, this is a diagram. Now you can get this diagram. First model is on-premises. So that means that there is no involvement of cloud people. So we manage everything in my office. Okay, in our office. Okay, the second category is infrastructure as a service. So in the infrastructure as a service, so the orange color components like networking, storage, servers, virtualization. Okay, others will manage. Others means cloud parties, cloud people will manage. So we manage operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and application. Okay, so networking means we don't use our networking, they will use their networking. So it is a completely dedicated networking. It is very high speed networking. Storage they will provide, servers they will provide, virtualization also they will provide. So we have to manage operating system. We have to manage operating system. Okay. So managing operating system means okay, we have to manage versions, we have to manage our patches, we have to manage upgradations. Everything is managed by us. Middleware means like Tomcat server, okay, JBoss. So those components are those servers we have to manage. Okay, applications and runtime. Okay, like Java and .NET we have to manage. Okay, we have to install it. Okay, so they don't provide any softwares. But in case of this model, see, most of the components are managed by cloud parties only. So we have to manage only data and application. So in this platform as a service, everything is managed by OS only. You suppose there is a service called RDS in AWS. RDS means database as a service. Database as a service. So generally, if you want to launch a database server, okay, in non-cloud platforms, I have to purchase a physical server. I have to install operating system. I have to install database server. Everything we have to manage. But in cloud platform, your database is available as a service. Okay, we don't manage these components here. OS is managed by AWS. Okay, middleware is managed by AWS. Runtime is managed by AWS. Just we have to manage applications. Suppose on the top of database server, okay, I may run C, C++, .NET and Java application. Those we have to manage. That's it. But in case of software service, our maintenance is zero. Our maintenance is zero. Okay, everything they will manage them. Okay, like networking, storage, servers, virtualization. Okay, so example, Jenkins software is there, Kubernetes software is there. Okay, so Kubernetes is a it is like one kind of orchestration software. Okay, orchestration software. Okay, so directly we can avail that software, but we least bothered about all these details here. How network is functioning, how storage is functioning. We never care about that. So every component is managed by cloud people only. We don't manage nothing. Okay, we manage nothing. Okay. So apart from, we have one more service, that is storage as a service. Regularly we are using Google Drive, right? So for using Google Drive, just we are paying, but we never think that, so how servers are working, what is the operating system it is, what is the application, how much storage. Okay, we never bothered about that. Okay, just we are paying, just we are using. That is also one kind of service, storage as a service. So like this, majorly services are divided into 3 categories. Any questions, any doubts? Next time. So is everything clear till this point? Now, from
Hey,
tomorrow onwards, yes.
Hi. I kind of joined a few minutes late. I don't know if you shared the program schedule, like, the course schedule.
Yeah.
I-
Will I will share this video. Don't worry. Okay, I will share this recording.
Thank you.
Okay. So once again, I am telling our session timings are 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. IST. Okay, for latecomers, just I am once again telling the timings. 6 a.m. IST means if you are in CST, it is 6:30 p.m. CST. Okay, if you are in EST region, it is 7:30 p.m. EST. 6 to 6:45. Generally, I will take 45 minutes for cloud sessions and 1 hour for DevOps sessions. Okay. So for latecomers, just once again, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Shiva Kumar. Okay, I have 19 years of experience. Okay, I started my career in the month of 2003 of June. Okay, as a Oracle DBA. Okay, for the past 7 years, I have been on DevOps, AWS, Azure, and Azure cloud platforms. So this is my brief introduction. So I will share everything to you. Okay, so once the session is completed, I will post this recording in the Google Drive. Okay, so you can listen to the recording. You can watch as many times as you want. You can download. Only for my USA students, I am giving this downloading feature. For other country people, I am not giving this downloading feature. Okay, most of my students are there in USA only. Okay, so this is my brief introduction, and this is a 4 to 5 weeks of course duration. Okay, first 1 week we are going to spend on Linux commands. First 1 week we are going to spend on Linux commands only, because these are the very much essentials for our AWS things. Okay, that is why first 1 week we are going to spend on Linux. Then from second week onwards we are going to start AWS. Okay, now for practicing Linux commands, I need to have one virtual machine, right? One virtual machine has to be created. One virtual machine has to be created. So tomorrow I will show how you can create a virtual machine. Okay, how you can create, what is the model, so what kind of model you have to take. Okay, that I am going to display everything tomorrow. Now you have to have one AWS free tier account. Okay, so which is valid for 12 months. 12 months. Okay, is valid. Okay, let me write in this way. AWS free tier account is valid for 12 months. So how you can create AWS free tier account? Let me show. before that, let me discuss what are the things you need to have to create AWS free tier account. You need to have one mobile number, valid mobile number. Okay, one debit card is required and email ID. Okay, so once you are ready with these three things, I think a few members are already having AWS account. So if you don't know, just I'm showing the link. Just go to this link, console.aws.amazon.com. So this is the same link you can use for logging into AWS account and for creating free tier account also. I'm going to paste it over here. Use this link to create AWS free tier account. Now let me go to this link. So if you have already your account with you, you can log in via root user. So if you don't have account, you are seeing this option, create new AWS account. Just click on this. The next page, we are supposed to fill up some details like email address, okay, account name, password, okay. So in the next page, you have to specify account type. So don't choose account type as commercial. So select account type as personal. So if you select commercial, okay, what happens? So if you get a huge bill in the future, so you cannot ask AWS to claim to waive off the bill. Okay, so if you select personal, so you can tell that, okay, and I use these services unknowingly, so you can, okay, please waive off the bill. So that kind of facility is there with personal account. So don't select commercial, select personal. And in the next page, you have to submit your debit card details. Okay, so within no time your account will be activated. So initially $2 will be cut from your account if you are doing it from USA. Okay, after 48 hours, okay, the $2 will be refunded after verification of your bank account. Okay, by tomorrow you be ready with AWS accounts. Okay, I am going to use my account for your practice purpose. You are going to use your account. Now, any questions, any doubts? Tomorrow we are going to start our session at 6 AM IST. So we will have a WhatsApp group also, okay, for faster communication. Okay, so for this is my mail ID. To this mail ID, share your mail IDs and mobile number so that we will create a WhatsApp group. I shared in the chat window. Just look at that. shivkumarkumravelli@gmail.com. So if no questions are there for today, I will stop the session. Okay. So from tomorrow onward, sharp we are going to start at 6 AM IST.
Hi, this is Sudhi. I just joined a few minutes back. I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Right. So basically, can I get like the full course content of what you go through for the next 4 weeks?
Regarding course contents, you can contact training team because already I have shared course contents with them. Okay, from training team of your company, you can collect course contents.
Okay, this is daily 1 hour class, is it? Monday to Friday?
Yeah, daily. DevOps is 1 hour. Cloud sessions are 45 minutes. For course contents, you can contact training team because I have shared course contents with them, so you can collect from them.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vijay. Are you going to focus on certification aspect as well?
So this is all certification, right? So this is all completely AWS admin and AWS solution architect, right? Okay. First, let us finish these things. Then, okay. So in the certification general, we have scenarios. Okay. So once you know the fundamentals of AWS, then you are going to clear up scenarios. Nothing is in the certification. This is all
Okay.
about certification.